Hello there, this is the Shawn1113 podcast show. This is your host, Shawn1113. Thank you for joining me as you're listening to this content and this podcast. And wherever you may be, however you're watching and whatever platform you're listening to. Now, before we get through, here in the United States, it's Veterans Day here. Want to thank each and every one of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, past, present, and future, for serving this country. So I want to get that in passing at Veterans Day. We want to thank you. We can't thank you enough for serving this country, the United States of America. And I'm sure there are many countries that feel the same way as well. With that, just got that out of the way. Now, if you like, now I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping. If you like this content, please email me at Shawn47k at Shawn47k@gmail.com. And if you like your voicemail messages on Anchor.fm by Spotify, please do so if you want to. But with that, let's get into sports, and especially the beautiful chaos at this time of the year. November is now here, and the chaos is actually beautiful to watch in college football. Alabama, LSU, another classic. Alabama has been some classics this year. The Texas game, the Tennessee game, and the LSU game. And of course, Georgia is undoubtedly now the best team in college football. Hands down. And they control their own destiny, along with TCU, actually. So we'll find out about. Like I said, there's a lot. Well, Ohio State and Michigan will be playing later in the season, so there's a lot of college football left, which is the beautiful chaos is college football. Speaking of chaotic NFL football as well, there is no doubt number one team is Philadelphia at the moment. Even if they have a bye, even if they had to buy week 8, it does go to show you. But the rest of the league, like I said, Buffalo, Kansas City, Minnesota, Dallas, everything else is like a kind of a scramble right now. So we'll find out and see what's going to happen there. I also decided as a podcast, I'm not going to do any picks or just do one pick with college. I'm going to do college football picks and do one NFL pick. What I'm also going to do is put the over and under on it as well. One football game, one NFL game to watch. Because I do also do a podcast on YouTube that I do the picks there. So I won't put the link in the description if you want to watch that as well, the actual picks. But I will continue to do college football picks as well. And keep you updated on the NFL picks. Last week I was 11-2, very happy about that. So I'm 80 and 50, 55. I don't know what percentage, but should be higher from 55% last week. Now, in other sports, before we get to the college picks, congratulations in order to the Houston Astros, even though I did pick the Philadelphia Phillies. It pretty much came down to the moment that Houston pitching was just too much for Philadelphia to handle. It really came down to that, and then in the big moment when it came to hitting, Houston actually took care of business as well with the Alvarez 450-foot homer. So, congratulations to the Houston Astros and over. Congratulations to LAFC for the MLS Cup as well. Very close game there. Also, English Premier League football. After this, we'll have a long break because of the FIFA World Cup. I'll talk about that in a moment. it's anybody's race between Arsenal, Manchester City, Tottenham, Newcastle, Liverpool is beginning to come up, Chelsea. So there's going to be a lot of English Premier football left for that, in my opinion. College basketball is come beginning the it's beginning as well, and NHL, there's ongoing NHL and NBA as well. So there's a lot of sports to watch, and just you know relieving yourself from the troubles of this world. To be perfectly honest with you, one game to keep an eye on for the NFL, and I think it's going to be a big, big game. The game to watch for me is, you know, Minnesota and Buffalo is the game. Let's see how Minnesota plays plays. Buffalo now has an injury to Josh Allen's elbow. So I think it's going to go the over or under in that game is going to be 46.5. I'm picking Minnesota straight up, and we're going to see. But that Minnesota Buffalo game is going to be the most intriguing game. If you have an intriguing game, let us know. Plus, oh, I almost forgot. The new coach is Jeff Saturday for the Colts. I think they're in rebuild mode, in my opinion. So Saturday's the interim HC. So he works now. He works on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, and sometimes Saturdays during the rest of the season. Okay, that's kind of a corny joke of Jeff Saturday's name, but whatever. Now on to the college games. I got a whole bunch of them. Starting with Rutgers and Michigan State. I'm picking Rutgers straight up. Over and under is 41. I'm forecasting under. LSU and Arkansas. This is the potential trap game if LSU is not careful. Finally, their big win against Alabama. But I am picking LSU straight up. The over and under is 65, and I think it's going to go under 65 and a half. Purdue and Illinois, picking Illinois. I'm picking Illinois straight up. Over and under is 44 and a half, and I'm forecasting under 44 and a half. James Madison and Old Dominion. The over and under in that is 63 and a half. I'm picking James Madison straight up, and I'm forecasting under 63.5. Alabama and Ole Miss. I'm picking Alabama straight up. The over and under is 63.5. I'm forecasting under 63 and a half. Wisconsin and Iowa. Picking Wisconsin. The over and under is 35 and a half. Half, if I'm not mistaken. I'm picking Wisconsin straight up, and I'm forecasting under 35 and a half. Maryland and Penn State, picking Penn State. The over and under is 58. I'm forecasting under 58 with Penn State winning straight up. UCF and Tulane, picking Tulane. Over and under is 53, forecasting over 53. South Carolina and Florida. I'll get to Jimbo Fisher in a minute. South Carolina and Florida. I'm picking South Carolina. Over and under is 59. I'm forecasting under 59. Kansas State and Baylor. Picking Baylor. The over and under is 55 and a half. I'm forecasting over 55 and a half. Georgia and Mississippi State. Georgia might stumble here, but I don't see it happening. The over and under is also 55 and a half. I'm picking under 55 and a half, forecasting that, with Georgia winning straight up. Kansas and Texas Tech, picking Kansas. The over under on that game is going to be 64. and a half. I'm forecasting over 64.5 with Kansas winning straight up. TCU and Texas. This is another trap game that might go either way. Texas might win this game with TCU if they're not careful. Two potential trap games: LSU Arkansas and then TCU Texas, in my opinion. Over under is 65, forecasted over, with TCU winning straight up. Florida State and Syracuse picking FSU. The over under is 51. I'm forecasting under 51. And finally, North Carolina and Wake Forest. I'm picking North Carolina. Over and under is 76.5. I'm forecasting that to be under 76.5, with North Carolina winning that game. And that is my Shawn1113 podcast show. Like I said, if you like this podcast, please comment at Shawn477K at gmail.com. Leave a voice message as well. And thank you for Anchor for Spotify for this podcast as well, which they are the providers of it. And with all that, as always, please stay encouraged no matter what, and celebrate the individualism that is you and you alone by the grace of God. Thank you.